We may have forgotten to mention that Ishan and Alia are not only fond of eating, but love cooking too. Ishan is always looking for ways to expand Food to Go's offerings to give customers more choice. In a strategy meeting last week, the team decided to look into launching a home chef range, which would deliver DIY meal boxes to customers. Customers who want to cook their own meals can order from the home chef menu by choosing a cuisine and meal box. They would then receive a box containing everything they need to cook a meal, including the freshest ingredients and recipe cards according to the cuisine they have chosen. The team thinks this range could have the potential of becoming a huge hit. But before anything else, Food to Go is doing some research on existing products that require customers to do some element of meal preparation. Let's use common Excel functions and our knowledge of functions to do some basic analysis on this initial research. If we want to count the number of total similar offerings, instead of counting them manually, we can use the count function. This function quickly counts how many cells in a given range contain numerical values. Let's enter the count function into cell E16. When we start typing it in, Excel will prompt us with its syntax, which is the same as the sum function syntax that we saw earlier. We need to insert just one argument, which is the cell range from E3 to E15. So let's go ahead and insert it using the point, click, and highlight method. We can then close the brackets and press enter. The count function has told us that so far, the Food to Go team have identified 13 similar product offerings in the market. This function is useful because if there are any blank cells in between, Excel will not count them. So if we remove one of our prices, we can see that the count at the bottom automatically updates to 12. Now if we copy this function to cell B16, it should technically give us the same result as column B contains all the names of the different products. Let's go ahead and check this. Something is obviously wrong because we are getting an answer of 0 when this column clearly contains values. Remember how we just learned that the count function only counts numerical values? This means it will only count cells containing numbers, dates, times, and so on. This is why the count function gives us a result of 0 if we use it on cells containing text or other non-numerical values. The good thing is that there is a way around this. Instead of using count, we can use the count_a function. The count_a function counts all cells that are not blank, whether they contain numbers, text, logical values, or even errors. Let's update the function in cell B16 to count A and then see what happens. Great, that worked well. Now we can copy this function to cell A16 and we will find out how many competitors Food to Go has identified so far. This is definitely valuable information. Okay, let's now look at our price column in more detail. Ishan wants to find out the average price of the products identified. We can calculate this using the average function. Let's do this in cell E16, but this time let's practice inserting functions using the function library on the Formulas tab. Average is a statistical function, so let's look for it under the More Functions menu. Remember, if you can't find a function, you can use the Insert Function wizard to help you. Now, since we're working with a single argument in the form of a cell range, we just have to fill in the first argument field and then press OK. We found out that the average price of competitor offerings is just over $14. Another thing that would be interesting to find out is the price range of competitor offerings. We can do this using the max and min functions, which will identify the largest and smallest values in an argument respectively. Let's find out what the minimum price of all these products is using the min function. we can type the function into cell D17 and enter the same cell range E3 to E15 as the argument. Now in this next cell, let's identify the maximum value for the same cell range. The max function syntax is exactly the same, just the function name changes. Ishan will be very happy to know that we've managed to find out the average price as well as the minimum and maximum prices of competitor products so quickly. These functions will certainly serve us well when this list expands or whenever we're doing any data analysis in Excel. One last thing to share. Sometimes we just want to do a quick calculation without recording it. To do this, we can just highlight a cell range and then look at the bottom of our window. In the status bar, we will see the calculations for sum, count, and average for our specified cell range. Now to see these figures for non-adjacent cells, remember that you can just select your cells while holding down the Control key. We can even customize the status bar to suit our own preferences. To do this, right-click on the status bar and just tick the functions you would like to be visible. This has been a power-packed topic in which we have covered the fundamentals of functions, starting with function syntax. We've learned what arguments are and how to write functions with different types of arguments, including nested functions. Excel's function library, the insert function wizard, and formula IntelliSense are features that can help us a lot when working with functions. We have also practiced how to use some of the most common Excel functions, and we will explore different function categories such as date and time, text, financial, logical, and lookup functions in subsequent topics. Functions open up a whole new dimension when working in Excel. Have a go at the mini challenge to practice what we've learned so far.